It's Suicide Awareness Month, and I want to share a story with you. So, I'm going to give you a content warning that I am going to be talking about unaliving. One of the biggest things that I personally tend to struggle with is the phrase, check on your strong friends. Because for me, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean much of anything. And the reason why I say that is because if you are that quote unquote strong friend, you are literally carrying loads that no one knows about. And when you do share what's going on, people have been conditioned, good or bad, to not necessarily take your concerns seriously. And I don't mean that in a malicious way at all, but I can think of multiple times when I have shared what's going on with me and what I'm struggling with, and even have gotten very emotional and started crying, and people didn't know what to do. So whenever I see people who have taken their own lives, and these people can be doing super well, they can have all the things, they can be doing all the things, but they are literally struggling with things that you know nothing about. And I remember when I was 18 and I had my plan in place, I was ready to go. My problem is that I thought of all of the possible ways to do it. And then I was like, wait, I don't like vomit, so I don't want to take a lot of pills because if I'm not successful, then they're going to put my stomach, my throat's going to hurt. Well, there's no bang bangs in the house. I don't have to worry about that. That would have been a little too immediate. Don't want to do that. I know which veins to go through, but will I keloid? Like, that was literally my problem. And I remember sitting on a cinder block with a box cutter, a rusty one, in my hand at that, and I heard this little voice that whispered to me and let me know it's not your time yet. And that was when I was 18 years old. And I have such a heart for teenagers because that is also the time where I started having symptoms of my autoimmune disease, and no one believed me. No one took me seriously. They were like, "Oh, you're just a hormonal teenager." I had to sit through my mom talking about me with my aunts and snickering and laughing and hearing that, "Oh, you're not the little Miss Goody Two Shoes anymore," and that set the stage for me to never really talk about how I felt unless I was talking to my therapist. And this is the internet, so I'm not going to share all of the things or all of the situations, but one of the things that I talk about, one of the modules, is on children and the older population. And these are often two groups that people like to use the phrase be seen and not heard. And there were so many times where I would share things, and so many times where other people in my life would tell their parents about things that were going on and things that were causing them harm, and they would be ridiculed and they wouldn't be listened to. And then the parents would wonder why later on in life that child was so angry with them or why they went no contact. And I don't, because of so many things, insert intergenerational trauma, insert slavery, insert post-traumatic slave syndrome, all the things. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to one decision of choosing life or not. And sometimes it is much easier to choose the path of being done. And when my dad died, I realized in that moment how alone I felt. And my birth father passed away when I was 13, and I didn't feel it. So many people in my life have died, but I didn't feel what grief felt like until my dad died 2 years ago. And because I was in the midst of just mess, I didn't even really and truly have time to grieve. And I literally, there was a point where I had a double ear infection that was so bad that I didn't even notice it. And I just don't think that people recognize the inner sadness that one could feel. And we often like to talk about the importance of mental health, but to me, mental health is health. And people get ostracized and shamed and all these things. And when I would reach out to people, there were months where I didn't even remember. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't eat. I wasn't sleeping. I don't know how I got through those semesters of school. I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember anything. And my best friend, two of them in particular, were there for me that entire time. And now to step out of it, one of them told me, "Ebony, you were down bad, but you made me realize how much I did not grieve the death of my grandmother, my grandfather." And I said, I've had so many people die around me that it became a normal thing. And I got so detached from my body and I just didn't care anymore. And I told him, I said, when my dad left, my best friend in the whole wide world was gone. And it felt like no one else cared. I didn't get the meal trains. I got, things from coworkers, but nothing from family. it was a weird thing with my mom dealing with that. And I am now processing that grief. And there were times where I would tell my therapist, I just want to be with my dad. This is not worth it to me anymore. And all I want to say, not everyone has a support system. Not everyone has people that they can go to for support of any kind. And it does not hurt you to be kind. And it also, one of the things I think we really have to work through if we want to be in community is recognizing that after the funeral or the service or whatever, that after that 2 weeks, that month, that 3 month, that 6 month, that year mark, that person is still grieving. They just stopped talking to you about it. I have been grieving my former life before I had autoimmune disease, my life after what I thought was going to be from a marriage perspective, what I thought in terms of having children, what I thought in terms of having friends, what I thought of my parents being with their grandchildren, what I thought, insert thing after thing after thing. So I just want to say to anyone that is struggling or anyone that thinks that their life doesn't have value, it does. And my hope for you is that you will find people that love you just as much as you love them.